Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at something that I think is pretty universal,
Yeah, definitely.
and that's interest, that spark of excitement, the
Yeah.
the thing that makes us want to learn or create or just go for it.
Yeah.
And you actually sent in some really cool stuff
I did.
about the connection between interest and motivation and even procrastination.
Yeah, that's right.
It sounds like it was from a pretty lively conversation.
Yeah, it was a really interesting one.
So I'm excited to dive in and see, what we can uncover here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can learn a lot about how interest drives us and, maybe sometimes even misleads us.
Ooh, misleads us.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm intrigued already.
And how to make it work for us.
All right, so where do we even begin with something like interest? I mean, it feels so fundamental.
Right.
It's so human.
Well, it might surprise you to learn that there's actual brain chemistry at play.
Oh.
Yeah, so research from Stanford shows that when we're genuinely interested in something, our brains release more dopamine.
Oh, dopamine, the feel-good chemical.
Here, right.
Exactly. So it's like my brain's rewarding me for being interested.
That's exactly it. This dopamine rush gives us energy. It helps us focus. We even think more creatively.
Mm.
It's kind of like that flow state, where time just flies when you're completely absorbed in a hobby that you love.
Yeah, I totally get that. I feel like that happens when I'm like, doing some woodworking
Absolutely.
or even like playing a video game. You just get so sucked in.
Exactly.
So, okay, so dopamine is like the key here.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what happens if we only ever do things when we feel that spark?
Right.
Like, can't that lead to just a whole lot of like Netflix and not much else?
You're hitting on a really crucial point here because while passion is fantastic, waiting for that burst of interest can actually become a trap.
Okay.
It can lead to procrastination.
Oh.
We might delay important tasks simply because we're just not feeling it at that moment.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've all been there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like deadlines looming and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that we've all been there.
So how do we escape this trap? I mean, we can't always rely on just, feeling inspired.
Right.
Especially for those tasks that just aren't inherently that exciting.
Right, and that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
So there's this theory called self-determination theory, and it basically suggests that our motivation really skyrockets when we see our actions as connected to our values or to a bigger purpose.
Ooh. Okay, so it's not just about fleeting interest. It's about finding meaning in what we do.
Exactly. And self-determination theory really digs into our basic psychological needs. Things like autonomy, competence, relatedness.
Okay.
When those needs are met, we're more likely to be motivated even for tasks that might not be inherently thrilling.
Okay, so give me an example here. So like if I'm dreading studying for an exam,
Right.
should I try to connect it to my larger goal of, becoming a doctor or something?
Exactly. It's about seeing that bigger picture.
Okay.
And, even something as simple as rewarding yourself with a nap after a productive study session can tap into that.
Oh, I like where this is going. And that's a good reward.
Exactly.
But let's be real here. Sometimes even with purpose, we need that extra little push,
You're absolutely right. And sometimes it really does boil down to good old-fashioned discipline.
Okay.
Think of it as like the bridge between feeling motivated and actually taking action.
Discipline. It's kind of a scary word, I feel like.
Yeah, it can sound like a chore,
It does.
but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Think of it like brushing your teeth.
Okay.
We do it every day without really even thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's just a habit.
Yeah.
Applying that same consistency, even in small doses, towards our goals is really what discipline is all about.
So it's those small, consistent actions, even when you're not feeling motivated.
Exactly.
Okay. I gotta say, when you first mentioned that toothbrush analogy, I was kind of like, eh. But
Yeah.
but I'm starting to see it now.
Yeah.
It's something we do automatically. We don't overthink it, and our teeth are healthier because of it in the long run.
Exactly. It's the same principle with our goals.
Mm-hmm.
Those small, consistent actions repeated over time lead to remarkable results.
Okay, so what if we just imagine for a second
Yeah.
that you commit to just 10 minutes a day to something,
Right.
learning a new language,
Yeah.
practicing an instrument, working on a creative project.
Right.
Think about the progress you could make after a year.
Exactly.
So that's got to be significant.
It's harnessing the power of consistency.
Mm.
And the more we stick with those habits, the easier they become to maintain.
It's like building momentum, right?
It is.
Like once
Yeah.
that ball is rolling, it's a lot easier to keep it moving forward.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's about creating those positive feedback loops.
Yeah.
When we see the results of our efforts, even the small ones, it reinforces that motivation. It makes us want to keep going.
It's like this self-perpetuating cycle of progress.
Yeah.
Like the little steps lead to bigger results, which then fuel the motivation to take more steps, and it just keeps going.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And I think it's important to remember, if we're talking about these habits,
Uh-huh.
we have to balance that with, time for leisure and those activities that we genuinely enjoy.
Absolutely.
It can't be all work and no play, right?
Exactly. It's not about burning ourselves out, in pursuit of achievement. It's about finding a sustainable rhythm that allows us to thrive in all areas of our lives. Finding that balance is absolutely key.
Work hobbies,
Yeah,
all in harmony.
exactly.
I like it.
It's about creating a life that feels both fulfilling and sustainable.
That's a good goal.
So putting all this together, what stands out to you as the main takeaway for our listener?
Well, I think what we've learned here is that interest is a great motivator,
Yes.
but it's not the only one.
It's not.
And discipline, purpose, and putting in that consistent effort are all super important
Right.
if we're going to actually reach our goals.
I completely agree. It's about finding that right balance between pursuing our passions and developing the discipline to do what needs to be done, even when inspiration is low.
Yeah, and I think it's key to remember that even those small, consistent actions can lead to big progress.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about those overnight transformations. It's about showing up every day
Yeah.
and just putting in the work.
Yes, it's about embracing the journey, even with all of its twists and turns.
That's true. Life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a thought-provoking question for our listener.
Yeah.
What's one small habit that you could commit to for just 10 minutes a day?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of impact did that have after a year?
I love that question.
That's something to really think about.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning that, the material you sent over actually included some helpful phrases
Oh, yeah.
for building habits and staying motivated.
Absolutely.
Maybe those would be a good starting point for some self-reflection.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a great resource, and I think we all need a little encouragement along the way.
For sure. We're all in this together,
Absolutely.
figuring out this whole motivation achievement thing.
Yeah,
It's a journey.
it is.
And remember, even those small steps
Mm-hmm.
can lead to huge achievements over time.
That's right.
So keep exploring,
Yeah.
keep experimenting, and keep moving forward.
Keep going.
All right, that's it for part 1 of this deep dive. We'll be back soon with more. So until then, keep those brains buzzing and those passions burning.
We'll see you soon.
So we're talking about more than just, these little moments of interest here.
Yeah, definitely.
We're building towards something bigger, it seems like.
Yeah, you got it. It's about the power of habits.
Habits, okay.
Yeah. So, research from Duke University
Okay.
actually suggests that a lot of really successful people have this one key trait in common:
Okay, what's that?
strong habits and routines.
So it's not all just about talent or luck or,
Mm-hmm.
being in the right place at the right time. It's about consistently doing these small things
Exactly.
that move us towards those goals, even when we don't really feel like it.
Precisely. Those habits become the building blocks of progress.
Okay.
There's that saying, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
It's so true.
So it's not about waiting for, that big breakthrough moment.
Right.
It's about putting in the work consistently,
Yeah,
little by little over time.
exactly. It might not always be glamorous or exciting,
Mm.
but it's undeniably effective.
Mm.
Think about brushing your teeth.
Okay.
It's a small habit, but it has a huge impact on our dental health, right?
I was a little skeptical about the toothbrush analogy at first, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean now. It's
Yeah.
something we do automatically,
Right.
we don't overthink it and
Yeah.
and our teeth are healthier for it in the long run.
Exactly. It's the same principle with our goals.
Okay.
Those small, consistent actions repeated over time can lead to remarkable results.
So imagine this, you commit to just 10 minutes a day
Okay.
to something.
Right.
Learning a new language, practicing an instrument, working on a creative project.
Right.
Think about how much progress you could make after a year.
Exactly. It's harnessing the power of consistency.
Yeah.
And the more we stick with those habits, the easier they become to maintain.
It's like you're building momentum,
Yeah, it is.
Once the ball is rolling, it's a lot easier to keep it moving forward.
That's a great way to put it. It's about creating those positive feedback loops.
Okay.
When we see the results of our efforts, even the small ones, it reinforces that motivation and it makes us want to keep going.
So it's like a self-perpetuating cycle of progress.
Exactly.
The little steps lead to bigger results,
Yeah.
which fuel the motivation to take more steps, and it just keeps going.
That's the idea.
That's cool.
And, as we discussed earlier, it's also important to remember to balance those productive habits with time for leisure and activities we genuinely enjoy.
Right. It can't be all work and no play.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding that balance is key.
All right, so work hobbies,
Right.
all in harmony.
Exactly. It's about creating a life that feels both fulfilling and sustainable.
Okay, I like that.
So putting this all together, what stands out to you as the main takeaway for our listener?
Well, I think we've learned that, interest is great.
Yeah,
It's a fantastic motivator,
definitely.
but it's not the only one.
Right.
Discipline, purpose, consistent effort, these are all super crucial
Yeah,
if we're going to actually reach our goals.
I completely agree. It's about finding that right balance between, pursuing our passions and developing the discipline to do what needs to be done, even when inspiration is low.
And remembering that even small, consistent actions can lead to really significant progress over time.
Yes.
It's not about overnight transformations, It's about showing up every day, putting in the work.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
about embracing the journey, even with all of its twists and turns.
Yeah, that's true. They say life is a marathon, not a sprint. So here's a thought-provoking question for our listener.
Okay.
What small habit could you commit to for just 10 minutes a day? What impact might that have after a year?
That's a great question. Something to really think about.
And, I think it's also worth mentioning that the material you send over actually included some helpful phrases
Oh, yeah.
for building habits and staying motivated.
They did?
So maybe those would be a good place to start
Absolutely.
for some self-reflection.
Yeah, it's a great resource, and I think we all need a little encouragement along the way.
Oh, for sure. We're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figuring out this whole motivation and achievement thing.
It's a journey.
It is a journey.
That's right.
And remember, even those small steps
Yeah,
can lead to big achievements over time.
absolutely.
So keep exploring, keep experimenting,
Yes.
and keep moving forward.
Keep going.
It's so easy to think you need like some big inspiration to get started. But like what we've been talking about it's really about those little steps, those consistent little actions.
Absolutely. It's about shifting our mindset from waiting for the motivation to just show up to actually actively building those habits that will lead us to our goals.
And it's not about being perfect either.
Well, definitely not.
You're going to have days where you stumble.
Of course.
You're going to have days where it's like, I cannot do this for 10 minutes today.
It happens.
It's really that overall pattern,
right.
that commitment to showing up over time
Yeah.
that really matters.
Absolutely. We're all human. We all have those days.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging those moments, being kind to ourselves and then getting back on track.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been so insightful unpacking all of this. It feels like we've really gone beyond, the usual self-help stuff
Yeah.
and really gotten into the why and the how of this whole interest and motivation thing.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would be your final piece of advice for our listener
That's a good one.
who's now armed with all this knowledge
Right. They've got all this information.
about interest and motivation and habits?
I would say start small.
Okay.
Choose one tiny habit, one 10-minute action, and commit to it for a week.
Okay.
Just see how it feels, observe the impact, and then build from there.
Yeah.
You might be surprised at what you can achieve.
That's a really good reminder, I think,
Yeah.
Don't get overwhelmed by the big picture. Just focus on that one small step.
Yeah, exact.
And hey, if you need a little extra boost, or those helpful phrases from the material we talked about,
Absolutely.
those could be really good
Yeah.
for sparking some self-reflection.
They're a great resource.
They are.
We all need a little encouragement along the way.
That is so true. And you know what? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
What small habit are you going to commit to?
What are you going to try?
Share your thoughts, your struggles, your triumphs. We're all on this journey together.
Onwards and upwards.
I like it. All right. That's a wrap for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing and those passions burning.
We'll see you next time.